Hey, oh my gosh. Hello, Rise with Diana podcast land. Hey, I'm so excited. I was just telling this beautiful guest that we have coming on, Kathy Tucker, who is from my hometown, Fostoria, Ohio, that I wasn't going to show my pits. But look, I sweat. Okay. I just do. And I just feel like, and this is just a conversation because we are here with a person who has actually taken a product. She and her husband have created Toledo's Share Wine. And she's going to talk to us about her life and this amazing entrepreneur that she is. But what I love about this woman right here is she keeps it real. And we get to learn all about her. She's going to give us all of her masterclass tips on being the woman of God that she knows that she is. So, Kathy Tucker, welcome to the Rise with Diana podcast. Can you
Thank you for
please
having
tell us
me.
a little bit about yourself? Yes, a little bit about yourself, your background, your family, and what you do now.
Yep.
Take the
So,
floor.
okay. Well, Diana, thank you so much for having me on here. You are so much fun and you're so lively and you're just such a vibe. So glad to be here in this space. So I am from Fostoria, Ohio. I was born a military brat. Both my parents were in the Army. We ended up landing in Fostoria, and my mother, she and my father divorced young. I was in kindergarten, and so my mother, who is just my rock and the woman I look up to, and she is the reason I am the woman I am today. She raised four children on her own.
Wow.
Highly educated, smart woman. She got a full ride to Bowling Green State University, band scholarship, and ROTC. And so she worked as a nurse. She has a nursing degree, and then quickly, you know, was able to climb the ranks and was the director of nursing for our hospital growing up. I share that because I saw my mother do that, and she taught part-time. So she did whatever needed to be done. So I grew up around a woman who could just, in my opinion, do it all. I'm the
Right.
oldest of four. Three of us are still here. Unfortunately, my brother, he passed away a few years ago, unexpectedly in his 30s. That can be difficult, but oldest of four, so I've always kind of taken on like second mom role. My siblings will tell you. So when we talk about my career in leadership and all of the things that you'll learn that I've taken on, that just comes from being around my mother, who I saw her do any and everything, and then me wanting to be a big help to her. I was essentially like her spectacular assistant. And so graduated from Fostoria High School, went to college, and dropped out, because I'm like, maybe college just isn't for me. I was not a strong test taker. And I always felt this pressure to live up to my mom's expectations. Like, she's so smart. Education was everything to her. So I ended up dropping out of college, got married young, and had my first two children from my previous marriage. At that time, I didn't know what to do with my life because I didn't become a doctor or a pharmacist or anything like that, like my mother wanted me to. And so I'm like, I don't know what to do with my life. And my younger sister, Jessica, had just gotten a teller job at a bank. And she goes, hey, you know what? I think you would be a good banker. And I used to walk past those offices and see the bankers in the fancy suits. And I was like, I want to do
Right.
that. So my banking career, which spanned about 15 years until recently, just came from me walking my resume into this random bank, no qualifications, and I got hired. And so years later, I'm running banks. And then I paused in there, and this is where I met Diana. I paused in there to run a nonprofit organization for a few years, right? And then I ended my career in the banking industry recently. So I worked as a senior VP at a national financial institution, and that was amazing. And then recently, I was a C-suite executive for a local financial institution. And then back in April, I went with the business full time. Now, as an homage to my mother, and I told you she was able to do things in the mix of that, I went to law school.
Yeah, that
So,
part.
yeah, so I went to law school. So I had all of these things going on, and it was a
Yeah.
lot. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But here we are, and now I'm a full-time entrepreneur and have started a business with my husband. So, oh wow.
Okay. Y'all, you're sitting there like everybody's going, wait, what? We gotta unpack some things, okay? First of all, what I want to know, because I really believe a lot of high level women have very strong matriarchs in their
Mhm.
family. It's good, but then there's some other things that maybe we need to kind of look at our lives and, in the words of Mary J. Blige, if you look at my life and see what I see, that song. So what did you learn from your mother that, of course, you value? But what were some things that you felt like, maybe I don't have to do those kinds of things? Give us your masterclass on that.
Yeah, so from the things that I learned from her, and I will also mention that her mother, my grandmother, who also was a nurse, she passed earlier this year. But those two
Mm,
women were my rocks, and they're two peas in a pod.
mhm,
Very strong, very successful, very gritty women. Both raised their kids on their own. And so the things that I learned is one, just tenacity, strength, perseverance, endurance, because I was taught very young that as a woman, right, as a woman of color, and this is the double-edged sword that I'm going to explain here. You got to be resilient, and you're going to have to overcome obstacles. And so I got to watch them not just say it, but do it in front of me every day. So I grew up just very headstrong. The matriarch of the matriarch. The mini matriarch, should I say. So strength, boldness, all of that, I learned from probably the time I could talk. Now, I say it's
yeah,
a double-edged sword because also you then begin to carry things that aren't meant for you to carry.
right.
So, for instance, things like perfectionism. A lot
Mm,
of us have been taught that if we're not perfect and if we don't, like my mom would say, cross every T and dot every I, well, then you may not be good enough. And they teach it because, and I mean, maybe some of it's true, but also it's trauma, right? And so, you know, the things that I've learned is that, listen, I can't be perfect. I won't
mhm,
strive for perfection. My worth is anchored in God. And if He says I'm worthy, that's all I need. And He will take care of me. But we carry this heavy burden. I saw my grandmother carry it. I saw my mother carry it.
mhm.
I've carried it. A lot of us carry it. But, you know, we don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Shoot, we can break down, we can do all of those things. And it's just really about authenticity and just living our purpose that God gave us and being bold about it. So those are the two biggest things that I said I would learn from having those strong matriarchs in my life.
Y'all feel that? Can we snap it up? Okay,
Absolutely.
first of all, I want to share that just brings so much joy to my heart, but I want to acknowledge, of course, your brother passing and your
Yeah.
grandmother, and, of course, thoughts and prayers, and of course, condolences and support for you, which I feel you've been giving to yourself, which I see. I tell you, I have watched you, Kathy. I've just watched you go through law school. Here is a woman who had her children married, going to school at night, working full time. Y'all, that is a moment of silence. We all need to give an homage to this woman right here. Tell us what you obviously it was your mom and the matriarchs in your family that kept you going, but what was it that said, but I want to try this law school thing? What was it in you that said, I just need to try that?
Yeah. So there are two things. We met Diana through our roles at the Toledo Housing Center, and then I broke
Okay.
off to be the executive director at the time Northwest Ohio Development Agency. And our whole mission was to help people become first time homeowners. They were typically first generation, and they were typically in low to moderate income neighborhoods. And I had worked in the banking industry for quite some time. Uh, but I didn't know anything about housing discrimination. You know,
Mm,
my mom had told me, in fact, when I joined the board, I went back to my mom and I was like, Mom, why you didn't tell me about this? She was like, and she wanted to protect me. She's like, because I wanted a different life and a different future for you. And I go, well, here we are. And so what I started noticing is as I was learning, and then as I began running this organization, I was running into like so much housing discrimination. I was like, and a lot of it, like a lot of it, because I've been on the other side of banking. So I know kind of what happens. And so I'm like, a lot of it wasn't even intentional. It was just people are not properly trained. People do have implicit biases. We all have them. And so I had a particular instance, and this woman is the one who got me to go to law school. She was a client. I had just had my baby. She was getting ready to sign up for home. She had worked on her credit for 4 years. She had saved up $40,000. She was going to be a first generation homeowner. She was probably, I think she was in her late 60s. Huge moment. We go to this financial institution. I won't get into the details, but she was like blatantly discriminated against. Like I was just like in my chair, like, and I remember I went in and because of like, I know Toledo Fair Housing Center. I know, like, luckily for me, I knew some lawyers at the time. And I went into the president's office barking all these things, like, blah, 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 blah. And then I went home that night and I looked at my husband and I was like, I can't do anything about it. And I wish that I had more influence and power to just march them into court and take care of it for my client. And so I just, on a whim, said to my husband, just out of anger, and I was like, what would you say if I wanted to go to law school? And I thought he was gonna be like, you just had a baby, like you're crazy, you working all these jobs. Like, and he looked at me and he's looked me dead in my eyes and he said, oh, I think you would make a hell of a lawyer. And that clicked. And I was like, wait a minute, that could be a real thing, you know? And so that gave me enough emotion to want to do something. But I would say this to this day forward. My husband, Angel Tucker, changed my life. He has poured into me and he has helped me see things in myself that I'd never seen, things that I thought were dead. And he believed, and I always tell people, like, he loved me so much and he believed in me so much that eventually I started loving myself. And eventually I started believing in myself. So that man right there, he takes all this craziness and he'd be like, jump, baby, go. And that's how that happened. It was just, I think it was a calling for sure.
Yes, I can feel that because I feel, first of all, cool, come on, Angel Tucker,
Man
doing the
right there.
thing. That's a man right there. Can we just give him a round of applause, right? Because I feel like it really does take this iron sharpens iron, and to
Amen.
be equally yoked with the individuals and relationships that you have in your life. So definitely, that's beautiful, beautiful. So, and we've seen the fruits of that. But speaking of fruits, you actually have that was so good. I thank you, God.
That was so good, Diana.
You and this beautiful man of yours have started your own company,
Yes.
Toledo Shares Wine. Tell us a little bit about that because there's a big thing going on and I want the folks to hear and know.
Yeah, so my husband's been making wine for 15 years, and him and I have been married for 7. So this preceded me. All right. And so we started just sharing our wine, which comes from Toledo's Share, which is family and friends, and we'd have gathering, and then people kept asking us to buy it, and we're like, oh, we can't sell it, we just do it as a hobby. I was drinking all the wine for the most part. I was like, all of this used to be mine. I'm like, now I got to share it. But we were talking, Angel had gotten, he's retired and he's early retired based off of some injuries and stuff that he had on the job. He's a retired police officer. And so he spent a little bit of time at the mayor's office as deputy safety director. And then, he decided, it's just time to put law enforcement behind. And so we ended up just having this idea, like, wouldn't it be cool if if this could become a thing. And we had this lady, you know her, Dr. Soon Young. She from the United Nations. She had come up, me and a quarter brought her in, and we gave her a gift of our wine, no label, no nothing. We just gave her a gift, and she loved the wine. She was like, "Oh, I'd like to take this back to my family in Korea." And I went, that kind of something clicked in. And so I went to my husband. I was like, "Hey, I mean, people talking about I want to take this around the world. Maybe we should do some, maybe we should make a thing." Well, to make a long story short, after many failed business trying this thing for 2 years, we kind of gave up. It just wasn't working out. Timing. God is all about timing. So we just let it go. And then we ended up walking into the space. God made a way. And so now we have been working for the past 2 years. We have our product out there. It's called Toledo Share Wine. So they're at pretty much all the local grocery stores and retailers. But then we decided that we wanted to create a space that was kind of like our home, our basement is what we said, where people could come, they could gather, and they could connect over and have unforgettable memories. I mean, we'd have people talking about a gathering we had 5, 6 years ago, and it was like the best time they'd ever had. And we looked at each other like, what if we could do this for our city? Right? Yeah. What if we could have a space that gives a unique experience? And so our wine room opens this weekend. It is a speakeasy style experience. And so it's not open to the public, but you can book tickets. Diana, I've been working with Mary Brucker.
Yes.
You know how she rolls. So
Yes.
I'm so excited. We sold out at all of our grand opening events.
Yes. Yeah, can we round of applause? So many rounds of applause. But for the folks that here on Rise with Diana podcast land, because this podcast goes all over. This is in Toledo, Ohio. And Mary Brucker happens to be a person who does a lot of events. And she is Imagine 901, who's come alongside this beautiful woman that you are hearing from. And the Toledo Shares wine. It's shares with
It's
plural, right?
Toledo's Share.
Toledo's Share. So it's Toledo Share because you guys got it. It's like she shared it with you. See, there's a whole book here. I mean, I'm hearing a whole like from the beginning and Mama and Granny. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story. And then I also want to let you all know that we'll give you information if you stay to the end of the podcast where you can actually purchase this wine. But before we get into that, what I want to we got to unpack some things a little bit more. There's a theme I'm hearing, and I want to hear from you about just your background. Like, what is it? What was your superpower when you were younger, and do you see that showing up now?
Yeah. And so for me, if I had to think of a superpower and pick one, I never thought about it like that before. Thank you for framing it that way. Honestly, it was probably just my desire to like, I can say it now, but like stand in the gap, like fill in where things were needed, because I think that's where like leadership develops. So
Yeah.
my mother, I saw just, man, how hard she worked. And I wanted to step in and, like I said, be like her mini assistant, but her mini her, so like an extension of her to help, you know, even with people like growing up in high school. Anybody who knows me from that era of my life will know that I always looked at people who didn't have like friends, or they seemed like something was going on, and I always wanted to step in and feel that, because my brother had a lot of issues growing up, and it helped me develop empathy. It helped me see through what looks like behavior problems, what looks like someone doing, X, Y, and Z, to say, like, there's a story behind this. And so I always wanted to get to know people's story and be able to like stand in that breach for them, because who else is going to do it? And so I think it helped over time just develop a leadership style of me wanting to get to know people, me wanting to help, and me wanting to learn more about how to be that sort of empathetic, strong leader, especially for people who, I mean, you can see the advocacy coming from my interest in going to law school. But that's what I would say is I just want to help take care of people. And my husband
Yeah.
is like is the same way, which I
Yeah.
think is why we complement each other's energy.
It's beautiful, and I feel a lot of people know that the reason why I'm attracted to you is because everyone we ask to either come into this podcast has that thread. There is
Mhm.
a deep, deep-seated understanding that I'm here to serve, and I'm
Yeah.
here to serve at the highest level, and usually we bring God gives us this opportunity that we can see, and we share this with our brothers because my brother too, it really helped me understand people deeply. And
Mhm.
of course, you going to law school with that feeling inside your gut was exactly the reason why I chose to go to law school. You said
Mhm.
that anger. I was an angry black woman. Okay, y'all. Okay. And the Lord has set me free. I have worked on becoming free because that doesn't get us anywhere.
Yeah.
Perfectionism doesn't get us anywhere. We've got to learn to be free of that. So, with that being said, how do you keep yourself aligned, focused, sure, living with a sense of ease? Tell us a little bit about some of your behind the scenes practices that keep you centered.
Yeah, so until probably last year, I didn't have good ones. And
Mhm,
I was at a point where I was so spent. Like I everything I had, my reserve, my internal reserve bank, it was spent. And I had nothing left. And usually the best part of me was given to work, volunteering, school, and then my family usually got the empty, and I'm just keeping it 100.
yep.
And so I had to figure out, and I got to give credit to my son. He's 13 now. He began going to church 2 years before I went back. I hadn't been back in the church in 18 years. And
Mhm.
he kind of inspired me to want to get back into centering myself because nothing else I was doing was really working because I can't do it by myself. And so that led me on a spiritual journey and really looking to reconcile my worth and my faith in who I am and the only one who can give me the peace of mind and the prioritization up here to know what's most important. So I surrender a lot. When I say a
Mhm.
lot, I mean everything. And so for me, what has helped me is just every day having conversations with my God about what's my priority is God, family, and everything else.
Wow.
So I'm giving my best to God and I'm giving my best to my family. And whatever is left is what I give out. And then for me, it's centering myself every day to saying, look, my worth is in him and he made me inherently worthy. So if I find myself looking for validation elsewhere, God be like, you're not going to get it there.
Mhm.
Or if I find myself like I often find myself doing things and I'm like, oh Lord, I'm not qualified. Why'd you put this? Like I'm I'm like, I'm not qualified. And it's like it's that saying, and God says, I don't call the qualified, I qualify the called. And so I always just say that to myself. So that's how these are the conversations that I have that give me peace. And I realize that anytime I feel fear or anxiety, it's not of God. And so
That's right.
I need to check myself. And that's just it. It has 100% been my faith and then my family and surrounding myself with people who share these values and who are encouragers of me and I'm encouragers of them. And that has changed my life substantially.
Yeah.
So much so that look, we don't went all in on the business. I ain't never worked not 2 or 3 jobs. And I got this whole business. But I mean, you step out on faith, you will be
Yeah.
shocked
Yeah.
what happened in your life.
I mean, if y'all ain't feeling these lightning bolts, because this is exactly what you've been giving us since we started about 25 minutes ago, is lightning bolts of you can do this. Step out on faith. God's got you. Getting yourself aligned, understanding there are aspects of your ancestry that is causing you to be aligned. And
Mm-hmm.
often on the podcast, what we like to share is that really your faith has to ground you. And that allows you to become more authentic because we don't, as you know, you've seen me in this community. I don't walk anything but authenticity is definitely
Mm-hmm.
something that really aligns itself with integrity. And then accountability has to sit right underneath that. But I found in doing this work that it is really so very abundantly clear that women have drunk too much in the stereotypes. And they, of course, don't show up as their true, authentic selves. What suggestions, I would say, what do you suspect really in your, view of the world has been really a big factor in women not being able to show up like that? And of course, we heard, of course, there was a time, right, where especially as Black women, there was you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way to succeed. But what do you suspect now are the challenging issues of women not showing up as that true, authentic person?
Well, one, I think is hard, and I can
Yeah.
just say that from experience. Um, but the big thing, and I can only speak for me, is just fear.
Mhm.
Fear of discomfort, fear of loss of opportunity, fear of what people will think. And for almost my entire career, I was hustling for my worth, and I was always trying to be one step ahead of what I thought other people viewed of me. And it's toxic.
Yes.
I believe, and I have made the commitment, I said, I will never stand in fear because it's not of God, and I will not shrink myself.
Mm.
We are taught as women from the moment we're born that we have to be this, we have to be that, we got to do this to be acceptable. Don't wear this, don't wear, oh, don't cut all your hair off. Like, don't do these things because it could and it will impact your
Mm.
ability to earn, your ability to have a reputation, your ability to do X, Y, and Z. And so I lived by that law like pretty much my entire life. But all it did was make me mad. All it did was then I started finding myself having an attitude, and I go, you know what? I'm not gonna be confined to the container anymore. I'm going to speak my piece. And hopefully, if it makes people uncomfortable, because sometimes you will. I mean, men do it all the time. They keep it 100 with each other. Like they do what they want. They wear what they want. They feel that freedom, and we should feel that same freedom too. The thing is the fear because you're going to come up against friction because it's not always a normal thing, and people may not be used to it. But I have found if you face fear and you just be your authentic self, God will do one of two things. He will elevate you or he will swiftly get you out of a situation that was not meant for you so that you can fly and soar with the wings that he gave you at birth. And what he has in store for us is way better than what we think. Way better.
Okay, y'all don't need a Sunday message. Just replay this every week, okay? Just in case, like Kathy and I, we not at the church, we gonna replay this message right here. What suggestion? Give me one or two suggestions that you have for that woman who is driving right now in her car, listening to this podcast, going into a job she hates, dealing with situations that she is just overwhelmed with, and she just feels there's no hope. What suggestion would you give her in this moment?
I would say freedom is finding source. So whatever
Mm.
that thing, and this is, and I can only speak from my own experience. I had to ask myself, when I was driving to my corporate job, and I said in my car, Lord, you've transformed me. I don't want to be, and this is so funny because I own a winery. I don't want to be new wine and old wine skin. But that was just, I was making a declaration. But the work after that is hard because you then have to figure out, and this is the only way it works, you have to figure out what is the source and where this is coming from. So my suggestion would be there are so many ways you could do this, but spend some time with you and start asking yourself, why do I do this? Why do I feel this way? Why does this make me angry? Why do I hate this job? Why do I why do I not spend enough time with my kids? Why am I not present? And you got to look in the mirror. I had some hard conversations with myself. There was a period of time I was crying for like 2 weeks straight. My husband's like, what's going on? I'm like, I am purging all of what all of what's happening in here. So I would say go on an experience to get back to the source, because that's what God put in here. And then use people around you, like your friends, if you've got a pastor, someone you can confide in, a therapist, if you can do it with you, your husband, that's what changed my life. And I'm like, this is why I act like that. This is what my problem is. I have trust issues. I'm hustling for my worth. I always feel like I need to be on stage. And then you got to be able to digest what it is that you just learned about yourself. And from then
Yes.
you can work on yourself and you can have the freedom.
Yes. Yes. And I'm going to tell you something. The lack of estrogen and progesterone helps. Okay. I'm just saying because the tolerance level decreases. Okay. And so I just really want to encourage you. Listen, this is a full stop message here, ladies. And I am so grateful to you, Kathy, because you've given me so much energy. I mean, if y'all, hopefully you're watching this on YouTube, because what I love about this is my assistant, Yanaya. She always goes, girl, you always in church. I'm always like, eh,
I love being in
amen.
church.
I am just constantly clapping, snapping, because I like call and response. All right. I love when the energy is popping. And I'm so grateful to you, Kathy, because you are the vibrational excellence that this community needs, that this world needs, that women need to hear more of you. I'm in prayer. I know this is only the beginning with the wine, this entrepreneurial venture. There are going to be so many spinoffs to the work that you're doing, but I hope most importantly that you become a voice, that your voice gets out here, because we need women like you speaking to people in the masses. So that's just a hopeful prayer that you will be on the speaking circuit at some point in your life, and sharing, and possibly, because I believe you're doing your greatest work. Do you believe that?
100%.
Yes, I do believe it. I do believe it. So, where can we learn more, gather here? I mean, if you're in the Toledo, Ohio area, we want to hear the address. If you're allowed to give it, I don't know.
We can give you
But
the
anyways,
address.
it's a secret place, y'all, because you can't get through it through the front door. Okay, and this is okay to go through the back door. Don't get traumatized. Some black people get traumatized going through the back. But go ahead.
Yep. So we're in downtown Toledo. We're at 23 North Huron Street, and we're right across from the Mud Hen Stadium. Our entry is on an alleyway, and we do reservation only because we want to preserve the experience. We want to make sure that you get the full. We're the first wine manufacturing company in downtown Toledo since pre-prohibition. So we're bringing back the pre-prohibition vibes. And so you can do that. We have all types of fun things. So the idea is we offer tours and tastings, but we want to do some like unique wine experiences. So like this weekend, we're working with Ryan Thompson on blow your own wine, stemless wine glass and drink wine. We're doing Pilates and pours, sound bowls and pours, pottery and pours, sip and salsa is going to be coming up. So we just want to bring people together to have memorable experiences. We got some live music happening on Saturday with an incredible artist. So we just are trying to bring the experience, and then our wine can be purchased online, and it's in several. If it's a local market here, they likely carry our wine.
Excellent. What's the website?
It's www.toledosshare.com. That's two S's. Everything you need to know is on there.
Yes, y'all, come on, get the wine, and it is good. I'm not drinking wine at the moment. I'm in my little ab challenge, but I love your red wine. It's excellent. And this is someone who just came from Napa. It's at the top, y'all. You have to get this wine. I'm so grateful for you for taking the time to share with us today, Toledo Shares, and for all the beautiful things you're doing. Y'all look her up. This is our girl, Kathy Tucker. Give a round of applause. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you,
All right,
Diana.
Rise with Diana podcast land. Please like and share, subscribe. Please, we're going to be sending snippets of this out on the internet waves. Tune in on YouTube, and we'll see you next time on the Rise with Diana podcast. Awesome.